Good morning, everyone. I'm Rose Almalaca, and together with Ms. Katrina Gonzalez and Mr. Limuel Di Maano, we will be reporting the Chapter 14, which is the continuous improvement, more advanced, including Taguchi and Six Sigma. So, for the second slides, 7 additional qualitative methods tools may be used as part of quality function deployment or to improve processes. The 7 new tools are first, affinity diagram, interrelationship diagram, tree diagram, matrix diagram or quality table, matrix data analysis, process decision program chart or PDPC, and arrow diagram. So for the first tool, which is the affinity diagram, this is used to gather large amounts of language data such as ideas, issues, and opinions, and organizes them into groupings based on the natural relationship between the items, or in other words, it is a form of brainstorming. So, yung affinity diagram, create noong 1960s ni Kawaki Tajiro or also known as the KG method. Affinity diagram is the organized output from a brainstorming session. And yung purpose nito is mag-generate, mag-organize, and pagsamahin yung mga information about product, process, and complex issues or problems. And ang pagka-construct ng affinity diagram ay isang creative process na nag-express ng ideas without quantifying them. So, yung mga members ng leadership team, pwede nilang gamitin itong method na to during their strategic planning para ma-organize nila yung kanilang ideas, thoughts, and opinions towards their future goal, for example. So the steps for generating an affinity diagram are as follows. First, assemble a group of people familiar with the problem or of interest. 6 to 8 members in the group works best. Second, phrase the issues to be considered. It should be vaguely stated so as not to prejudice the responses in predetermined direction. So meaning, for example, sa isang company, yung HR or manager nagpatawag ng meeting with the 6 to 8 employees. And then, yung HR should make a statement about the problem that needs to be addressed. Dapat in a vague way yung statement para maiwasan yung magiging bias sa response. And the third steps, give each member of the group a stack of cards and allow 5 to 10 minutes for everyone individually in the group to record ideas on the cards, writing down as many ideas as possible. Fourth steps, at the end of the 5 to 10 minutes, each member of the group in turn reads out one of his or her ideas and places it on a table for everyone to see, without criticism or justification. So, sa may sticky note, yung bawat employees, doon sila magsusulat ng kanilang mga ideas, thoughts, and opinions para sa problema nila within 5 to 10 minutes. And after nun, yung isang employee, sasabihin niya yung sinulat niyang idea, and after niya mabasa, ilalapag sa table para mabasa din ng iba na hindi kinikriticize or gina-justify yung ideas na sinulat mo. And then fifth step, when all the ideas are presented, members of the group place together all cards with related ideas, repeating the process until the ideas are in a few groups. 6 steps, look for one card in each group that captures the meaning of that group. So kapag na-present na lahat ng ideas, pagsasama-samahin na lahat ng may magkakaparehas na idea, and then i-continue lang yung procedure until all of the ideas have been grouped into a few groups. And last, sa kanila titignan yung cards ng bawat group kung nandun ba yung tamang solusyon para sa problema ng company nila. So the result of this activity is a collection of as many thoughts as possible under a small number of important topics. And yung data of information na ganito is pwede nila magamit sa iba pang tools like interrelationship diagram to pinpoint yung iba pang areas. The second tool is the interrelationship diagram. So this tool is designed to take a central idea, issue, or problem and map out all the logical or sequential links among related factors. While this still requires a very creative process, the interrelationship diagram begins to draw the logical connections that surface in the affinity diagram. In designing, planning, and problem solving, it is obviously not enough to just create an explosion of ideas. The infinity diagram allows some organized, creative patterns to emerge, but the interrelationship diagram lets logical patterns become apparent. So next is, in this tool, it shows that the cause and effect relationships are exist among the group of ideas, topics, and problems. Mas useful to para ma-identify yung posibleng sanhi at ugat ng isang problema sa isang company, for example, na hindi ma-resolve kasi nga dapat alamin muna yung cause and effect. And then, obviously, na hindi enough yung pagpa-plan, pagde-design, at pagsasolve ng problema para makapag-create ng maraming ideas. Kailangan dumaan mo sa affinity diagram kasi yung gumagamit ng tool na to, inaalaw sila na gumawa pa ng mas creative na pattern because kailangan laging magkasama yung affinity and interrelationship diagram. With that, mas malinaw yung lalabas na solusyon sa problema nila. And makikita nyo sa picture yung na connected silang lahat kasi ito yung mga cause and effect. Yung interrelationship diagram, the best siya gamitin for complex issues. So the third tool is system flow or tree diagram. So the system flow or tree diagram, usually referred to as a tree diagram, is used to systematically map out the full range of activities that must be accomplished in order to reach a desired goal. It may also be used to identify all the factors contributing to a problem under consideration. One of the strengths of this method is that it forces the user to examine the logical and chronological link between tasks. And depending on the type of issue being addressed, the tree diagram will be similar to either a cause and effect diagram or a flow chart. Although it may be easier to interpret because of its clear linear layout, if a problem is being considered, each branch of the tree diagram will be similar to a cause and effect diagram. So, ang sabi dito, yung system na to is tinatawag ding tree diagram. Ginagamit siya systematically para malaman lahat ng activities na dapat makomplete and para ma-achieve yung desired goal. Ina-identify din niya lahat ng mga factors na may contribution sa problema. And yung advantage ng method na to is yung user nag-iisip ng mas logical and chronological links between tasks. And may similarity sila ng interrelationship kasi dito cause and effect or flowchart yung tinatakel. Pero mas madaling maintindihan yung flowchart because yung pinaka-layout niya is sunod-sunod lang ng pababa, ganon. And kapag yung issue na considered na, yung bawat branch ng tree ay similar na sa cause and effect diagram. Next is matrix diagrams. The matrix diagram is the heart of the 7 additional tools and the house of quality described in Chapter 6. The purpose of the matrix diagram is to outline the interrelationships and correlations between tasks, functions, or characteristics, and to show their relative importance. There are many versions of the matrix diagram, but the most widely used is a simple L-shaped matrix known as the quality table, in which customer demands, or the what's, are analyzed with respect to substitute quality characteristics that shows in the figure 14.3. Correlation between the two are categorized as strong, moderate, and possible. The customer demands show on the left of the matrix are determined in cooperation with the customer in a joint meeting if possible. The right side of the chart is often used to compare current performances to competitors' performance, company plan, and potential sales points with reference to the customer's demands. So, yung matrix diagram daw is the heart of the 7 tools. Kumbaga, kung wala itong matrix diagram na to, hindi malalaman yung interrelationships and correlations sa between the task. Yung objective ng matrix diagram ay para i-highlight yung connection and correlation between the task, functions or characteristics as well as their relative importance tulad ng nasa picture na to. And then, Pwede rin siyang magbigay ng information about relationships such as strength of the role played by various individuals. Maraming versions itong matrix diagram, pero ang mas pinakagamit ay L-shape. May three types of correlations and matrix diagram. Yung etong matrix diagram nga. Ito yung strong, moderate, and possible. Sa left side ng figure, yung customer needs, and dinadefine siya as a collaboration with the client at a joint meeting. That is, if possible. And yung right side naman, ginagamit siya para ipag-compare yung current performance dun sa competitors, sa company plans, and future sales based sa expectations ng client. And ginagamit yung matrix na to para ma-identify yung causes and problems and para din ma-match yung requirements with specifications. Pinagko-compare yung mga possible solutions, ina-identify yung mga opportunities for improvement, and last, nire-review nila kung na-meet ba ng maayos yung requirements dito sa matrix. And then, yung matrix na to are especially helpful when trying to understand causal relationships or conducting quality functions deployment analysis. Next to the matrix diagram is the T-shape. Kung kanina may L-shape, dito naman may T-shape. So, T-shape matrix diagram, a T-shape matrix is nothing more than the combination of two L-shaped matrix diagrams. On figure 14.4, it shows one application, the relationship between a set of course, a curriculum, and two important sets of considerations. Who should do the training for each course and which would be the most appropriate functions to attend each of the courses. So there are other matrices that deal with ideas such as product or service functions, cost, failure modes, capabilities, etc. And there are at least 40 different types of matrix diagrams available. So sa T-shape, this is essentially two L-shaped matrices joined by a single list. So, yung T-shape, itong nasa gitna ito yung nasa center, and yung pa-L naman is itong dalawang nasa gilid sa kaliwa. This matrix lets you compare one list, yung center ng T or etong nasa gitna, and the two other groups or etong dalawang nasa gilid, yun yung sinasabi ko kanina. So, pang-fifth ay matrix data analysis. So, matrix data analysis is used to take data displayed in a matrix diagram and arrange them so that they can be more easily viewed and show the strength of the relationship between variables. It is used most often in marketing and product research. The concept behind matrix data analysis is fairly simple, but its execution, including data gathering, is complex. So, sa matrix data analysis, yung purpose nito is to present numerical data about two sets of factors in a matrix form and analyze it to get numerical output. Kadalasang mga factors nito are products and product characteristics. And madalas din itong ginagamit sa pag-research ng product. Mas complex to kasi mas madami siyang analysis na ginagawa. Next is Process Decision Program Chart. So, a Process Decision Program Chart, or PDPC, is used to map out each event and contingency that can occur when progressing from a problem statement to its solution. The PDC is used to anticipate the unexpected and plan for it. It includes plans for countermeasures on deviations. The PDPC is related to a failure mode and effect analyzed, and its structure is similar to that of a tree diagram. So, dito may two main uses siya. First is the document steps to completing a process, and second, impact analysis. Mas maganda siyang gamitin when you're about to enact a new process. you're delivering a large and complex project, and the cost of the process failing is high. Similar siya sa tree diagram. And para makagawa ka ng PDPC or Process Decision Program Chart, una dapat mag-start sa tree diagram yung process mo. Put your objectives on the first level, main activities on the second level, and the task at the third level. Next is mag-brainstorm ka about the issues na pwedeng mag-occur while performing those tasks. And then third, tanggalin yung mga imposibleng mangyari dun sa sinulat mo sa first and second level. And then yung last, i-identify yung countermeasures para sa mga gustong issues na ma-solve. Last in the tool is the arrow diagram. So the arrow diagram is used to plan or schedule a task. To use it, one must know the subtask sequence and duration. This tool is essentially the same as the standard Gantt chart used in a project planning. Although it is a simple and well-known tool for planning work, it is surprising how often it is to ignore. The arrow diagram is useful in analyzing a repetitive job in order to make it more efficient. So, this diagram is also called activity on arrow diagram, activity network diagram, activity chart, node diagram, and CPM or critical path method chart. And ginagamit yung arrow na to plan or schedule a task. And this is well-known tool for planning network, but surprisingly, madalas siyang ini-ignore. Ginagamit yung arrow diagram when scheduling and monitoring tasks within a complex project or process with interrelated tasks and resources. When you know the steps of the project or process, their sequence, and how long each step takes, this arrow diagram lets you calculate the critical path of the project. Thank you for listening.
I'm Katrina T. Gonzalez, your second reporter for this group. So, Taguchi Methods for Process Improvement. So, sino nga ba si Genichi Taguchi? Sabi dito, si Taguchi nga ay isang kilala bilang isang Japanese engineering specialist who advanced quality engineering as a technology for reducing costs while simultaneously improving quality. The popularity of Taguchi methods demonstrate the value of his quality philosophies. The basic elements of Taguchi's ideas, which have been extended here to all aspects of product, service, and process quality, can be classified into four categories. Una nga dito, yung total loss function. The total loss to society that a product or service generates in an important aspect of its quality. Taguchi definition of product's quality as the loss imparted to society from the time a product is shipped is odd because the word loss denotes the popular or the polar opposites of what is normally conveyed by the word quality. His definition boils down to the fact that the loss a product or service generates from the time it is transferred to the customer. The more desirable it is, the main benefit of this concept is that it encourages a new way of thinking about investment in quality improvement projects, which become appealing when the resulting savings to customers exceed the cost of improvements. Taguchi asserted with some justification that any variation in any target value for a product or a process parameter results in a customer loss. The loss could be as simple as an inconvenience, but it could also represent cash losses due to rework or poorly fitting parts, as well as loss of customers' goodwill and ultimately market share. The loss or cost grows exponentially as the parameter value moves away from the target and it's smallest when the product or service is at the largest value. So, second method is design of products, services, and process. There are three stages in the development of any product or service: product or service design, process design, and production or operation. Each of these overlapping stages contains numerous steps, with the output of one frequently serving as the input to others. The output and input transfer points between steps have a clear impact on the final products or service quality and cost. The complexity of many modern products and services necessitates acknowledging the critical role of design. Indeed, the robustness of their product and process design can be traced back to the performance of quality products from Japan automotive camera and machine tools industries. The prevention of problems in the use of products or services under varying operations and environmental conditions must be built in and during the design stage. Similarly, the costs incurred during production or operation are heavily influenced by the actual manufacturing operation process. Controls such as SPC methods added to processes to reduce imperfections at the operational stage are costly, and the need for controls in the production of non-conformance can be reduced by correct initial process design. Sabi nga dito, Taguchi distinguished between offline and online quality controls methods. Quality control being used in the very broad sense include quality planning, analysis, and improvement. Offline QC uses technical aids in the design of products and processes, whereas online methods are technical aids for controlling quality and cost in the production of products or services. Um, Offline QC methods frequently focus on evaluation rather than verification. Improvement. Some people, often based on personal experience, believe that it is unwise to buy a new model or a car until the problems had been sorted out at test. Unwise to buy a new model to the fact insufficient attention is paid to improvement during the product and process design stages. In other words, um, bugs should be fixed before, not after the product is released. In some organizations, this can be accomplished by replacing detailed quality and reliability evaluation methods with approximate estimates and using the free resources to make improvements. So, next method is reduction of variation. A continuous quality improvement program goals is to reduce variation in key product performance characteristics around their target values. The common practice of defining specifications in terms of simple, upper, and lower limits conveys the incorrect impression that the customer is satisfied with all values within the specification band, but becomes dissatisfied when a value strays outside one of the limits. The practice of only stating specifications as tolerance intervals can lead to manufacturers producing and shipping goods with parameters that are just inside the specification band. This is likely to cause quality issues due to the interdependence of many parameters of component parts and assemblies. Um, Taguchi introduced a three-step approach to assigning nominal values and tolerance for product and process parameters. Una nga dito yung system design. The application of scientific engineering and technical knowledge to produce a basic functional prototype design. This requires a fundamental understanding of the needs of the customers and the production environment. Next naman is yung parameter design. The identification of the setting of product or process parameters that reduce the sensitivity of the designs to sources of variation. This requires a study of the whole process system design to achieve the most robust operation settings in terms of tolerance to ranges of the input variables. Then lastly is yung tolerance design. Determination of tolerance around the nominal settings identified by parameter design. This requires a trade-off between the customer loss due to performance variation and the increase in production or operational costs. So, for the last method of Taguchi statistically planned experiments. Taguchi stated nga that the statistically planned experiments should be used to identify products and process parameter settings that will reduce variation in performance. He divided the performance affecting variables into two categories: design, parameter, and sources of noise. All of the variables that cause the performance characteristics to deviate from the target values are considered sources of noise. The key noise factors are those that represent the major sources of variability, and they should be identified and included in the experiments in order to design the parameters with the least effect of noise on performance. This is accomplished by systematically changing the design parameter settings and comparing the effect of noise factors for each experimental run. Statistically planned experiments may be used to identify first the design parameters that have a large influence on the product or performance characteristics. Then the design parameters that have no influence on the performance characteristics. The tolerances of these parameters may be relaxed. Then, the settings of design parameters at which the effect of the sources of noise on the performance characteristics is minimal. Then lastly, the setting of design parameters that will reduce costs without adversely affecting quality. Taguchi method stimulated a great deal of interest in the application of statistically planned experiments to products and process design. The use of design of experiments techniques to improve industrial products and process is not new. Taguchi, on the other hand, introduced us to the scope of these techniques in offline quality control. Taguchi methods, like all others, should not be used in isolation but as part of a continuous improvement process. Six Sigma. Sabi dito, early 1980, the author refers to the majority of the world as experiencing a quality revolution, based on the simple premise that organizations of all kinds exist primarily to serve the needs of their customers. Good quality management has grown in importance. Competitive pressures on businesses and government demands on the public sector have fueled the need for more effective and efficient approaches to business and non-profit management. In the early days of the realization of improved quality was vital to the survival of many companies, especially in manufacturing. Senior managers were made aware, through national campaigns and awards programs, that the basic elements had to be right. They discovered, through the implementation of quality management system, the participation of improvement teams, and the application of quality tools, that improved business performance could only be achieved through better planning, capable process, and the involvement of people. These are the fundamental elements of a TQM approach, and they have not changed regardless of how many sophisticated approaches and techniques have been developed. So, for further understanding, ano nga ba ang Six Sigma? Six Sigma is a business strategy. Using Six Sigma methodology, a business can strategize its plan of action and drive revenue increase, cost reduction, and process improvements in all parts of the organization. Six Sigma is a vision. It helps the senior management create a vision to provide defect-free positive environment to the organization. And then Six Sigma is a benchmark. Um, Aids in the improvement and process metrics. We can use Six Sigma to improve the newly established process metrics once the improved process metrics have stabilized. Six Sigma is a goal. Using Six Sigma methodology, organization can set stringent goals for themselves, and the work towards achieving them. The proper way of application of methodology lead to these organizations achieving their objectives. Then, Six Sigma is a statistical measure. Six Sigma is a methodology based on data. Statistically analysis is used to determine the root causes of a problem. The Six Sigma calculates process performance using its own unit known as the Six Sigma unit. Then lastly, Six Sigma is a methodology. Six Sigma is the only documented methodology for problem solving available on the market today. Six Sigma improvements, when used correctly, are bulletproof and provides high yielding returns. So, next is the Six Sigma improvement model. So, yung Six Sigma nga po ay may five fundamental phases. First is define, meaning it initiate the projects, define the process, define the key process, output, and what are the deliverables will expected as the result of the project. Then, second phase naman po is measure, to understand the process, evaluate process input, develop and evaluate measurement systems, and measures current performance. The next is analyze, to analyze the data, to prioritize key input variables, and identify waste. Next phase is improve, to verify critical input variables, design improvements, and pilot new process. Lastly is control, to finalize the control system and verify long-term capabilities. So, next is the Six Sigma Improvement Model, the DMAIC steps. First, D, define the scope and goals of in the improvement project in terms of customer requirements and the process that delivers these requirements, inputs, outputs, controls, and resources. The next is M, measure the current process performance, input, output, and process, and calculate the short and longer term process capability, the sigma value. The next is A, analyze the gap between the current and desired performance, prioritize problems, and identify root causes of the problems. Benchmarking the process outputs, products, or services against recognized benchmark standards of performance may be carried out also. Then next is I, generate the improvement solution to fix the problems and prevent them from recurring so that the required financial and other performance goals are met. Then lastly is C. This phase involves implementing the process or the in a way that holds the gains. Standards of operation will be documented in systems such as ISO 9000, and standards of the performance will be established using techniques such as statistical process control. Ito nga yung SPC. Building a Six Sigma organization and culture. It means the power of building a Six Sigma is to create continuous improvement sa organization and nga yung culture. This Six Sigma approaches call to questions many aspects of business, including organization and culture. Most commercial organization goal is to make money by producing saleable goods or services. And many of the traditional measures used are capacity throughput based because people respond how they are measured. On organizational managements tend to get what is measured. As a result, throughput measures may generate work in process and finished goods and inventory, depleting the company's cash work capital. And clearly, extreme caution is required when determining what to measure and how to measure it. So that's my part for this report. Next reporter is Limuel Dimaano.
Good afternoon po sa lahat. i-report ko po ay about sa Six Sigma organizations focus on. Then, number 1 is understanding their customers' requirements. Next is identifying and focusing on 4 critical processes that add value to customers. The third one is driving continuous improvement by involving all employees. Next is being very responsive to change. Then basing managing on factual data and appropriate metrics. Then last is obtaining outstanding results, both internally and externally. The key is to identify and eliminate variation in processes. Every processes can be viewed as chain of independent events, and which each event subject to variation. Variation accumulates in the finished products or service. Then, properly implemented Six Sigma strategies involve leadership involvement and sponsorship, full organization training, project selection, tools and analysis, improvement methods and tools for implementation, measurement of financial benefits, communication, and last is control and sustain improvement, one highly publicized aspect of the Six Sigma movement, especially in its application in companies such as General Electric, Motorola, Allied Signal, and GE Capital in Europe, is the establishment of process improvement experts known variously as master black belts, and green belts. So, katulad nga po nung in-explain ng kaninang reporter, na yung Six Sigma po is to find more effective and efficient approaches to managing businesses and non-profit making organizations. Ito po yung focus nun, yung mga nakabullet po. Ito po, yan. Yung mga tinututukan po ng araw. So, the key is, ang susi po ay kilalanin at alisin po yung pagkakaiba-iba sa mga proseso nito. Kasi sa bawat proseso ay maaaring tinitingnan bilang isang hanay ng mga independent event, and sa bawat event po na yun ay napapalalim sa kaibahan ng bawat isa. Ang pagkakaiba ay naiipon depende po yun sa produkto or service nila. Then, properly implemented Six Sigma strategies involved is, eto nga po yung mga binasa ko kanina. Then, next page na po tayo, please. Next is, in addition to these martial arts related characters who perform the training, lead teams, and do improvements, are other roles which the organization may consider, depending on the seriousness with which they adopt the Six Sigma discipline. So ito po naka-include sa kanila. Leadership group or council or steering committee, sponsors and or champions, process owners. The next is implementation leaders or directors. Then Six Sigma coaches, team leaders or project leaders, team members. Many of these terms will be familiar from TQM, excuse me po, and continuous improvement activities. The black belts reflect the finely honed skill and discipline associated with the Six Sigma approaches and techniques. The different levels of green, black, and master black belts recognize the depth of training and expertise. For addition lang po sa mga karakter na ito ay may mga kaugnayan po sa martial arts na nagsasagawa ng training or practice o namumuno sa mga koponan at gumagawa pa ng makapagpabuti sa kanila. At ang iba pa po ay Mga tungkulin na maaaring isaalang-alang ng organisasyon depende sa kung gaano kaseryoso kung saan nila pinagtibay ang 6 na sigma ng disiplina. So, next na po tayo. Then, next is ensuring the financial success of Six Sigma projects. Six Sigma approaches, you are not looking for incremental or virtual improvements, but the breakthroughs. This is where Six Sigma has the potential to outperform other improvement initiatives. An intrinsic part of implementation is to connect improvement to bottom line benefits, and projects should not be started unless they plan to deliver significantly to the bottom line. So sa 19 po, Six Sigma methodologies are searching for breakthroughs, not gradual or virtual gains. Six Sigma has the ability to outperform the other improvement programs in this area. Connecting improvement to the bottom line benefits is an essential aspect of implementation, and projects should not be launched unless they are expected to have a major impact on the bottom line. So when we say breakthrough po, we refer to something that pushes you to the next level or creates something new. Thus, the Sigma has the ability to push you, innovate, or make an improvement. Kaya rin may tinatawag tayong implementation ay para makonect yung improvement sa bottom line benefits. Next page po tayo is when it comes to selecting Six Sigma projects, key question which must be addressed include what is the nature of the projects being considered? Then, what is the scope of the projects being considered? How many projects should be identified? What are the criteria for selecting projects? What types of results may be expected from Six Sigma projects? Project selection can rely on a top-down or bottom-up approach. The top-down approach considers a company's major businesses, issues, and objectives, and then assigns a champion. A senior manager most affected by these businesses issues to broadly define the improvement objectives, establish performance measures, and propose strategic improvement projects with specific and measurable goals that can be met in a given period of time. So when we say top-down approach, it means all decisions and goals are made by senior management, which is then communicated to the project manager, who in turn communicates the goals to project team. Lahat po ng desisyon galing sa matataas na posisyon pababa. This type of approach has its disadvantage because the team is not involved in project planning. They feel left out and unable to comment. In addition, clear communication is a prerequisite for effective top-down project planning. Non-specific requirements and expectation can lead to misunderstanding and ultimately project failure. Therefore, it is the project manager's responsibility to communicate the goals set by the top management. And next is 21. Concluding observation and links with TQM. SPC, excellence, and etc. Six, Si- Six Sigma is not a new or different techniques. Its roots can be found in the total quality management and statistical process control, but it is more than TQM or SPC rebadge. It is a framework within which powerful TQM and SPC tools can be allowed to flourish and reach their full improvement potential. With the TQM philosophy, many practitioners promise long-term benefits over 5 to 10 years as the program is begun to change hearts and minds. Six Sigma is about delivering breakthrough benefits in the short term and distinguish from TQM by intensity of the intervention and pace of change. Yung Six Sigma naman po is hindi naman daw bago or iba. Kumbaga, nagmula to sa TQM at SPC pero mas improved na siya. Naging basis niya yung dalawa na yun para mabuo ang Six Sigma. So, nakadesign ang Six Sigma para magbigay ng breakthrough benefits para sa short term, and pinagkaiba niya sa TQM ay yung intensity of intervention and pace of change. So, next is the excellence model can play a key role in the baselining phase of strategic improvement. The Six Sigma breakthrough strategy is a delivery vehicle for achieving excellence through number one is committed leadership. Next is integration with top-level strategy. A cadre of change agents, black belts, customer and market focus, bottom line impact, business process focus, obsession with measurement, continuous innovation, organizational learning, and the last is continuous reinforcement. Yun lang, ma'am. That's all. Thank you.